What's up, NASA Report crew? We are back talking about the Division 2 today on the PlayStation 4, the highly anticipated sequel to a pretty good first game. And today I will be giving you guys my full experience playing through the game. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about the graphics. Visually speaking, I was impressed with how this game looked. Uh, Here we are involved in a gunfight. In case you're not familiar with the Division franchise, specifically the Division 2, the storyline is you're in Washington, D.C., and this is post-pandemic, and the city's in a lot of chaos now. There are three different factions that are vying for control, and you have to get through them in order to achieve the mission, if you will. And along the way, you encounter lots of different enemies, and I was impressed with just how the visuals looked. This is at night, which is when I think the city kind of has this creepy, unsettling element to it. And the monuments as well look very good in detail. And I think that's where you got to commend this game. There's lots of detail. The character motions are pretty fluid. The various different landmarks as well in Washington, D.C. have a lot of attention to detail, from the White House to the state capitol. There's even a really, the different museums look fantastic, and you go there as part of the story. And I'm not going to give too much away because I don't want to take away from the experience of the storyline itself. But as you see here, the firefights, the lighting, all that stuff, it looks really, really good. And again, I think this just, that night, these gunfights just have this powerful movie-like resemblance to it. It just reminds you of what you would see in a really good action movie. The explosion sequences, there was one earlier, look fantastic in this game. And there's just something satisfying about blowing someone up and seeing that awesome lighting and the fires. The explosion from that is really good. Um, so I think visually speaking, if we're comparing the Division 2 to any other Tom Clancy game, maybe, Ghost Recon Breakpoint is the exception because it looked really good. But I was just thrilled with how well this game looked. And again, this is a game that has produced lots of DLC since its initial release, and they've continued to improve a lot of things with regards to that. And still, it looks great. And I think you got to give Ubisoft some credit here. They did a really, really good job with every little detail of the game. And these gun sequences, I think, are really the story's strong point. There are some cutscenes, but they don't highlight what this game does good, compared to these sequences where you're out in the world tracking down the bad guys and trying to take over certain control points, which is another goal for this game. Overall, very, very good visuals, and I think you will feel the same way as well playing this game. So for the graphics, I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10. The Division 2 looks fantastic, from the details on the buildings, the street signs, everything looks just really well thought out and detailed. And in my opinion, this is probably one of the best looking games of the last couple of years. Now let's talk about performance. Real quick, here's a look at the White House, as I mentioned earlier. Terrific details and well executed by Ubisoft. But the performance now, and this is where the game struggles a little bit in my opinion. I encountered lots of issues, one of them being a very lengthy load time when you're loading into a game and just launching it. It takes quite a long process, and that was annoying. There's two load screens. First, when you load in to the home screen, and then second, when you launch into this world. And keep in mind, the Division 2 is a completely online game. There is no offline mode or option for that, which I think explains why there are some bugs here and where the performance bogs down a little bit. The loading time was long. For me, when I was in that second loading screen, I would get to 9%, and then it would be stuck there for, I want to say, 1 to 2 minutes, and then it would just start loading up again, and then boom, you're in. But that was annoying. I called the 9% screen because that's where you're, where I was stuck at. And then my friend that I was playing with also encountered the same issue. So I think Ubisoft might have fixed that in their latest patch. When I played it again recently, it seemed like that was fixed. However, during my playthrough, I got to acknowledge that was a problem. We can't ignore the issues of a game, and I get it, right? Games improve from time to time, but let's look at the big picture here and consider everything as a whole. Secondly, another issue I had was this game crashed on me numerous times, and that is frustrating when you are in a mission trying to get something done, and then the game just freezes. Fortunately, I was playing with a friend at the time, so he was able to get to a spot, and then I would just reload the game. But again, that took a while, and it was really tedious having that happen. So I was annoyed by that. He also encountered the same issue where we were just doing a story related mission, and then the game crapped out on him. That's inexcusable in my opinion. I get it. This is an online game, and there may be some issues from time to time, but for it to crash out like that, not just once but twice, and then there were a couple other bugs here and there where the game would just lag off, then it would catch up, is really frustrating in my opinion, and I think takes away from some of the strongest qualities of this game. So for the performance, I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. The numerous bugs were really annoying, and the long loading screen was just really tedious, and I was just annoyed by how long it took to launch to a game. Again, this is an all-online game, so I can understand that happening, but to this extent, it's really frustrating. So let's go to a more positive component now and talk about the entertainment value. Here's a look at the map of Washington, D.C. It's up to date as of July 2020 with all the latest different things you can do. There's this new manhunt that's going on right now. You can do these raids, and as you can see, there's just a plethora of options to do. Again, the main storyline of this game, it's pretty simple to understand. You're just trying to get rid of these different factions in Washington, D.C. And once you get to that level 30 ranking, another group comes in, and you basically have to take over these certain strong points, have these missions where you get rid of these harder enemies, basically, and that's fun. In addition to that, there's lots of different loot which you can get to help improve your character, getting different weapons, different armor, you name it. I mean, the customization options are phenomenal in this game. There are so many different weapons, numerous different armor options, which you can get perks, and that was really well thought out and executed very nicely. I got to give the developers a lot of credit for thinking about every little aspect to help improve, and that's really cool. You can create a character just fully customizable, and the options are endless. So that adds to an entertainment component of this game. There's different chests, if you will, throughout the different missions in game where you can obtain these different weapons, skins, armor upgrades, perks, that type of stuff. So this game is multi-layered, and I think that's great. That'll keep people engaged for a very long time. Again, this was a game that came out almost 2 years ago, and they're still pumping out tons of things to do, tons of fun DLC, most of which has been free, which I think is good because nowadays we're plagued by microtransactions in tons of games. But for the most part, Ubisoft has done a good job of keeping most of that relatively cheap and free. So the entertainment value, you'll be engaged for this game. I'm sure you can easily get 90 to 100 hours out of this game. So for entertainment, I'm giving The Division 2 a 9 out of 10. Plenty of content for you to complete once you finish the game. And there's so much loot out there that I think you'll be able to comb through everything and still have lots of things to do. So as we reflect now on The Division 2, the graphics of the game, probably the strongest part of The Division 2, is a 9.5 out of 10. Performance 6 out of 10. The numerous bugs and glitches were frustrating. And then the entertainment a 9 for a final score of 24.5 out of 30. My biggest takeaway from The Division 2 is that there is lots of content. The game looks great, but I think the performance is hindered from it being completely online all the time. And those numerous lags, the lengthy loading screens, and the game crashing is really frustrating. Alright everyone, that sums up my review for The Division 2. Like I said, this game was a lot of fun. The customization options are off the charts because there's so many things to do, and it's a visually pleasing game as well. However, the performance was really frustrating. I can't emphasize that point enough. Make sure you're playing with somebody so you don't get lost in a mission and are screwed over and have to start it over, because that would be really tedious. Let me know in the comments section below, guys, if you've played this game, what was your experience with it, as well as a game you'd like to see me review next time. See you guys later.